Welcome to the show. Today's topic is how fast does your content die? We will be discussing the significance of content lifespan across the various social media platforms. We've got James is sharing his screen and you can see it here. James, do you want to start us off? What's your social media platform of choice, first of all?
Well, in terms of personal, I tend to look more on Instagram than anything else. That's where I look at things. I'm not really one for Twitter. I just see the debates happening on Twitter all the time. TikTok, I'm there briefly, then come off because you just can go down a rabbit hole and go with nothing. And the occasional Facebook. So it tends. I think YouTube potentially. I watch more things on YouTube these days than anything else. Usually Peter McKinnon stuff, if I'm being honest. But that's kind of where I go, or I like to read things. So it's Instagram is the social media, but I'd say YouTube now, which I don't see it as a social media platform. I see it as more of an information tool and like almost like the new TV, almost potentially. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint it.
Yeah, Andrew, has your use of social media changed, you think, over the years?
Absolutely, Josh. Back in the day, obviously, Facebook was the initial one that came into our lives, I suppose, with Twitter. But I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook, and I'm very rarely on that now. I use it for business, but I like to trawl through Twitter just to see what news is coming in. But I'm with James. Again, I wouldn't term it as social media, but YouTube is my favourite these days.
So in terms of health and fitness, and because that's what we're all about, of course, and growing your fitness business, where would be the best place? Where would you recommend people focus more on it? I mean, as we can see on the screen, you got TikTok is a few minutes, Twitter's 15 to 20 minutes. Is it a good idea to even post on those, or should you focus more on Instagram, YouTube, blogging? What would you say, guys?
Well, let's go through so people know what the lifespan is now. So for those listening onto the audio podcast side of things, let's go through what we found. So we found this great post that talks about the lifespan of content posts, and it talks about Instagram, Facebook here. So let's just give the stats here now. So first of all, Instagram has a lifespan of 21 to 48 hours. Facebook has a lifespan of 5 hours. Pinterest, 4 months to 1 year. I don't really use Pinterest at all, but obviously people do. TikTok, a few minutes.
I use Pinterest quite a bit, not for health and fitness at all, but I do use Pinterest quite a lot. I quite like it. More for DIY and recipes.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, good point. TikTok is a few minutes, literally a few minutes. Twitter, 15 to 20 minutes. YouTube, 30 plus days. I'd argue a lot longer than that. And then blogs, 2+ years if you get it right. So that's the standards and the numbers here. Now, in terms of fitness people, everyone compares themselves to fitness influencers who are doing the same old stuff every single day. A workout, how-to videos, more workouts. What am I eating? What am I wearing at the gym today? All this sort of stuff. So it depends on what you're going to go for.
And the main platform obviously there is Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok are the two 2 points here now. Whereas I think in terms of becoming a professional, I think I personally would look at blogs in terms, that's our strategy here at Strength Matters. We're doing blogs so people can come to us and it's an evergreen form of content where they're learning, and we want to engage them in learning and education first, as opposed to just glorification of looking someone's arse, basically. I think that's the best way to talk about it, because it is. That's a lot of the, sadly, a lot of the female influencers do. That's what they're trying to do. It gets attention and it gets them more likes and followers and subscribers. May not build them a big business, but it depends on what they're trying to do. But if we're looking at YouTube, that's the other thing we're trying to focus on is the high content, and people spend more time on here. So we're looking at higher engagement, okay, less traffic potentially, but higher user engagement. So YouTube and blogs are the key things here for this podcast, for example. And then you can go onto Twitter and share some content and engage in some conversation. That's where we're looking at things in terms of our strategy. But it just entirely depends on what you enjoy the most and what you want to do out of it, I think, as well. So we're not trying to say there's one thing here. We're going for the higher end, higher caliber sort of audience. But if you want to go and sell $20 products, which I don't recommend because there's lots of competition out there, then Instagram, TikTok are your place to go to, basically.
Yeah. And Andrew, if you were starting out now, if you were brand new in the fitness industry, what would be your content strategy? Do you think what would which platforms would you pick?
That's a good question, Josh. And for me, I'm looking at basically my ultimate marketing strategy is and should be, if I was starting out, building my list, building an email list, and then using the longer term approach of blogs and content on YouTube, which aren't going to get instant results, but I'm putting down a solid foundation on which to grow. But then I'm looking at the social media platforms, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikToks, and the like, and thinking, right, who's my target audience? Who's my ideal client? And where are they hanging out? Because then that will give me a direction on which of the platforms I should initially focus on. And in doing that, I'm using these as what I would call an outpost. And what I mean by that is that I'm using these to build awareness of me, my brand, and the services I offer. But I'm then looking to direct them to my home base, my digital home, being my website, because I've obviously got control over that, and I can get them onto my mailing list, which is my ultimate marketing strategy, that I can then build a rapport and build a relationship with them. So that's the approach I would take. Longer term, the blog and YouTube, but then short term, looking at the whichever platform my ideal client is using.
I think that's a good point.
And it's all about posting consistently.
I think this is a good point to hang out. But talk about long-term strategies and everything. Like, it's important that when we're saying blogs and YouTube, that is a harder format to break into. But it also teaches you to create content and do it well. Don't expect instant results. Okay, you're not going to become a YouTube star overnight. Look at all the people who had to create so many videos to get to where you want to get to. But it helps develop your style and your skill set and your ability on camera too. So it's really important that no matter which platform you use, Instagram, Facebook, blog, or YouTube, blog you need anyway for a website, but it's driving back to something professional in terms of your website where the offer is there, because that's what people do. It's creating awareness around where you're at, and people then want to click to learn more about you. They'll then go to your website to make sure you have a website there in place to make it happen. So it's all about the awareness, but it's all about understanding that the first videos, even on Instagram, TikTok, they'll suck. They won't get any views hardly. However, you've got to get consistent and keep posting. It's why we're doing the podcast consistently every day, Monday to Friday. It's that consistency that builds trust with people, and you've got to think about that. So don't go all out. Choose one and do it well, if I was you, but think about more long-term strategies in terms of blogs and the YouTube, because that's where the evergreen content is, and that's our strategy here at Strength Matters.
I was going to say, because we spoke about this on a previous podcast when we did imposter syndrome, and we've mentioned the fact that, when you first start out doing social media content, it will be scary and you probably will suck at first, but the more you do it, the better you will get. I was just going to quickly ask, would it be a good idea to ask your clients what platforms they use so you know which are the best to post on for you, at least initially, as you say, as you hopefully build towards YouTube and blogging?
I think so, yes. Find out where they're hanging out is a really good answer. Work out where, because sometimes you need to tag them to help them share content if they've been training with you throughout the day or something like that. Where would you tag them? Ask them. Just something as simple as that. Just taking videos and doing something and tagging them is a great way of doing things. So yeah, absolutely ask where they are, but also find out where you enjoy, because there's a lot of trainers out there who are introverts. They're great in front of a crowd, but they don't like social media. I had a great chat with somebody earlier this morning about this, and it's the same principle. So choose a platform that you feel comfortable on. If you feel comfortable with a pen and writing and typing on a blog, do that. If you want to be on camera, well, go for the videos on TikTok potentially. But focus on educating as opposed to entertaining, because you're a professional, remember, not an influencer.
Yeah, and you don't need fancy equipment nowadays. Obviously, it's great if you've got a DSLR or something like that, but phone cameras are so good nowadays, aren't they, for content creation? Yep.
In fact, they get more views and more likes and more shares because it's more native to the camera. So if I'm filming on Instagram or TikTok or something like here now, I definitely use more of a phone. But YouTube, we use our DSLR setup, which is what we've got here for the podcast on my camera right now. So yeah, just choose your equipment appropriately for the right channel.
Yeah. Andrew, anything you want to sum up with before we sign off?
I think we've covered it in a nutshell. Just focus on who that client avatar is that you're looking to grab their eyeballs, and then go on the channel that you're most comfortable with. and then just consistency, as you alluded to earlier, and that's key.
Grab their eyeballs consistently. I think we'll wrap it up there. I like that phrase. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And if you want help growing your fitness business, go to strengthmatters.com/audit and get a free website audit on us.